We will always be dicking down in the open mics, right?
Next comic, give it loud everybody for Anthony Eugenio. We're up your next comic. Very funny. Wayne Russell, everybody.
Welcome to the Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne podcast.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Open Mic Pain with Anthony and Wayne. This is our very first episode of what we're going to call Mic Talk. We're doing away with the Mic of the Week because Anthony and I are doing a lot more different things. We're still doing things together, but we're doing things separately as well. So this makes a lot more sense. So we're going to kind of combine everything. So this is that inaugural episode, I guess, for that. Before we go too much further, I'm here with Anthony Eugenio. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Wayne. Very excited to talk about all these mics we've been doing around. And yeah, we're doing multiple mics a week now and shit like that. So it's going to be difficult for us to nail down a mic in the week. So we thought, why don't we talk about all the shit we've been doing, who we've been seeing, bombing we've been having. Wayne's got a nice little story about a class that he took. So I think that, talking about that for the next, say month of our comedy since we've last talked to you about a mic of the week, we'll tell you what the fuck happened to us, including my first book show, which went a lot different than Wayne's first book show. So why don't we start it off, Wayne? So tell us how you've been doing.
Doing pretty good. Since our 4-month check-in, I think we've already made some strides to where we want to be. The first, for me, the first big one, you probably heard us talk about it with Jacques, was I took a class with a local comedian who's been doing it for 30 plus years, Mike Katrobis. The class was for hosting shows, and the do's and don'ts and all that stuff, and tips about, if you're looking to get noticed by bookers, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, this is what you absolutely need to do. And I urge anybody listening to check that class out if that's even slightly interesting to you. The class was $75 when I took it. It was well worth it. Like Jacques said, if it was a 4-class, 5-class, whatever, $75 a pop, I'd probably do it. I got a lot of good information out of it. The highlight to that was at the end of the class, there was a showcase at Wicked Funny in North Andover that we were able to participate in. So I get to perform in front of a crowd of, I'd say there was about 60 people. I know there was at least 60. There's probably 60 to 70 non-comic attendees at this place. And that was a whole different animal. It was pretty crazy.
Including 40 people in one party who were celebrating a birthday party and made this the occasion for the birthday party, meaning they were super cool and wanting to laugh, and the whole point of them being there was to be entertained by you guys. So it was a lot of people who were a great crowd in front of a well-prepared, because you guys were there for 3 hours before talking about comedy, so you guys were all lubed up and ready to comedy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I went there as a spectator.
Thank you for the support, by the way.
Yeah, listen, sometimes I'm going to be in the room with you when we're making love, and sometimes I'm going to be in the tree in your backyard. I'm going to be looking through the window, and I'm going to be, out there with a jar of peanut butter and a spatula. That's what I do. So this occasion, I was in the tree, but I got to say, I think you did great.
Oh, appreciate it. Real quick, I'd like to thank Justin George as well for stopping by to watch. I got to say that for that being my first, that meant a lot to have you two guys there. We do a lot of talking behind the scenes. Obviously, Anthony and I do, but Justin as well. And it was touching having you guys there in my corner while I went up there to what could have been a horrific bomb, but ended up being a pretty decent 5 minutes for me.
It was very good. Yeah, and we discussed in previous podcasts, I think we talked about, I'm not going to remember which one we talked about it, fuck you guys, but we talked about on one of them the milestones that we wanted to hit. And this is definitely, we know there's a booked above this milestone for both of us, where it's like we're getting paid, we're sought after, it took tape, and blah, 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 to get us booked on to it. We know this is a step before that, but it's still not an open mic, and that was the milestone we were trying to hit. Just do something that's not, strictly you show up and you write your name down on a list and you get to go on. This was, something more planned out from that, more structured. You guys got to do tag team, bringing each other up, which is a different format that I've never got to do, and I liked a lot.
Yeah, I did like that for a couple reasons. So the reason that occurred was because the class was about hosting. So we learned how to, open up the show and like kind of tell people, the audience, the guidelines for the show. Please keep the table talk to a minimum, silence your phones, and most importantly, laugh. Right? We're all here to have a good time. Let's do that. But the other part of that is bringing up comics. You need to give them the proper introduction. So part of the showcase was, when you're done your set, it's your job to speak to the comic coming up after you, figure out what they want you to plug or how they want you to bring them up, and do so in a good manner.
I gotta say, I really like the restraint that Mike K had too, of like, listen, that was a great room of people, and he could have went up there and done 10 minutes up front, and then every once in a while popped in while you guys were tag team and did some more comedy in the middle and made it more about him than he did. It was all you guys. That's how he set it up in there for it.
It was all us. It was one of the students was the first person on stage opening up the show. It was him bringing up the next person, up the next person, up the next person, all the way to the end where Mike went up and did probably about 10 minutes. It was probably about 10 or 15 minutes at the end.
Yeah, he did good with it.
It was really good.
We know a lot of hosts that would have took that show over and made it more about that.
And that was part of the class too. Was as a host, you're not supposed to take the show over. You're everyone's there to see the comics. They're not there to see the host, so you're not supposed to overshadow the comics. Maybe you have to do a couple minutes up front, or maybe something in between if somebody went short or whatever. Try to buffer the time a little bit, but you're not, as a host, you're not there to overshadow the comics, and he did not do that. He did. You know what I'm trying to say? He did exactly what he taught us. He went up, he did some time, and that was it. He made it all about us and let us kind of run it, which was really kind of cool. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, we kind of ran the show.
Yeah, it was interesting because I wanted to bring up, the step that we're talking about here that we're into now is, you might have heard, it's called bringer shows. There are really the overarching name for it, where it's kind of a pay to play, which in music, very similar thing you do in the beginning. You have to sell tickets or pay a reserve in order to do a show. This one I like a lot better because you got value in it with the class before. It wasn't like a strictly like, here, you got to sell this amount of tickets or you got to, pay this amount of money. Like he was there before and you left learning stuff. So I think for me, the pay to play format, this might be the best value, I think, across the board for what you get out of it. Maybe pay to play and you get to do like, a really nice venue like Nick's or something like that, or Giggles or something that's the only way in. That might be valuable as well. But I think for local North Shore, Merrimack Valley people, also I bet China Blossom's delicious. I didn't have the food there, but for all those
I had
reasons,
a little bite. It was good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was delicious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, worthy step for the Quest for Laughs then, motherfuckers. Go do that class. So you got anything else to say about that class before we transition?
No, other than I met a lot of great comics. We had a lot of laughs in the class, a ton of laughs. I got to give every single person in that class props because everybody just brought their A game. It was good. It was good. So
nice motherfucker over here.
I thought everybody did really well.
And ifs and nuts were candies and butts.
I always think about that quote from Dwight. I can never remember the last half of what he said.
Oh, because it's a bunch of German. It's like you'd be a good Junkerdirk on Darknashfish.
Yeah. Before we move on to the next subject, you brought up bringer shows. Have we ever talked about? Because we started off as like, hey, we're doing open mics, but I don't know. Have we talked about what a bringer show is versus a non-bringer? And because that was something that confused me when I first started out. I would see posts like, "Hey, bringer show," or "non-bringer," "paid non-bringer," "non-paid bringer," like all that shit. Like,
Yeah,
should we
we've
go
talked
over that
about it
real quick?
before. Yeah, but I would love to go over it again because I think it is important, and especially the intricacies of the paid versus non-paid. So this is a little bit of a pet peeve for me about the pay for play. And unfortunately, like that class is awesome for Mike, but he's going to fall into this category of my wrath as well. Where in music, which is obviously different, but when you do a paid for play show, you usually get a cut of the door. Meaning, yeah, you got to pay a reserve to get in there, but when they sell a bunch of tickets and you're a performer, you normally get a cut of that. That's kind of the value of why you do those. Where obviously they're these bringers, even when they're paid, a lot of them don't pay you a cut of the door, or they only cut you the tickets that you sell a percentage of. When it's like, we're all putting on the show here, and you're using me to do this, and I know you want to meet a reserve of tickets sold, so that's why I got to pay to do this. But I think that's kind of horseshit. But that's my opinion overall. But I think more importantly, I should say what I'm talking about. Bringer shows are all about the promoter wants to make some money on a show and he wants to do some comedy, and he doesn't want to hire somebody outright that he's got to pay, where he can bring people who are local comics looking to get in front of a good audience who will pay to do it. And how they'll pay to do it is they'll sell tickets. It's like barking, which they call in New York when you stand outside of a club, sell tickets to the venue, and then they let you perform out there. It's just the old digital way of doing that. They called them bringer shows. They're when I started comedy, I went, I'm never doing a bringer show. Those are fucking lame, because I've been scarred in my music career of having to do that so much. But there's value in them for sure, because reps in front of an audience like Wayne got don't happen at open mics, because you don't see those type of people there. So you don't get to feel like like Wayne did that set before and it didn't go great. And if that's all he did, he never would have known that those jokes were good. It took a great audience for him to see that. It took a bringer style show, the pay to play, for him to get in front of those crowds, at least for now,
Yeah, and part of that is like we talked about, in front of trying to judge your jokes. You can't really do it at an open mic because it's mostly, at least in this area, it's mostly comics waiting to go up or have just gotten off, and they don't really care about what you're doing sometimes. Some of them do. There are some that do. We talk about the ones that sit and listen, the Connor Fergusons, the Xtinas, and Nick Powells, and, Kyle Seeley. And there's a bunch that will sit there and watch, but there's a bunch that just don't care. And you can't really judge your jokes really well at an open mic always, because you do have a majority of comics who don't care to listen. They're in their own head for one reason or another. Or chain smoking outside.
Especially if you're gonna go I can imagine, put us in our position where you're gonna do a bunch of new shit, and it's all gonna be a new set, and you're thinking, I have terrible memory. I smoke a lot of weed, Wayne. So then you're looking through your phone and you're trying to think about the whole time, but you also want to pay attention to the guy on stage, but you couldn't give less of a fuck about what he's doing up there. It's hard, and we get it. But that's what makes it difficult, and that's why bringer shows at our stage, before people know our names, is kind of a necessary evil.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Where doing a show like that where people are there to listen, to laugh, is a big difference from people who are there to make people laugh, try to make people laugh, but also some of them are trying to listen. I do it too. I try to be extremely supportive, and I listen, and I catch myself going, oh fuck, I can't remember the first sentence of my set, and I panic and I start trying to think of it in my head, and then I know the comic's killing, and I'm in my head going like, what's the first word? That's the big difference.
Yeah, I gotta say, I do think that open mics sharpen the sword a little sharper, meaning you do transcend some of the comic jokes when you just nail a punchline and you go, all right, Man, I hate saying the same things over, but I say pillars of comedy a lot in my bits where I go, what is the skeleton to the bit of the funny? And the rest of it might be subjective dependent on the crowd. Like, I know that this is going to work for everybody, but the setup to this, I change if I'm at the safe versus if I'm at, a Dover or something like that. And I think that that's huge, and you need that because you don't want to go get fake laughs in front of a crowd that wants to laugh real bad, and you're like, am I doing good, or is this just kind of they're warmed up well and they're laughing at punchlines tonight? So, that's why we're open mic pain, baby. We're always going to be for the open mics, but it is cool to step out a little bit and see what else we can do because it feels good, man, to tell you. You should feel great about 5 months ago where you started, how you're standing on stage holding the mic like it was about to shoot loads on your face, and to where you got to now, captivating an audience.
That is a crazy thought. I remember a week or so before I went to Japan, not knowing, going on stage for the first time, and then on the plane going, I'll probably go up again. To the end of the week, going like, I really want to go up again, and then like writing in my notebook as the week went on, and then 5 months later, I'm on a stage in front of people who paid to be there. It was kind of weird. It was really fucking weird.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just such a huge, like, it's really cool. It's like when you first learn playing guitar and you first start, and your parents want to murder you for a while because of how bad you are. But then after like 5 months, you play your first song, and you're like, the huge improvements you make when you first start doing something is really cool. Like, because right now we're rapidly going to be improving for a while because we started so shitty. And there's only one way to go and up. And there will be a time where we plateau in comedy a little bit, and you slowly get better. Like, for instance, like Mark Norman and his first special to his second special, he's better because he's been doing it for longer, but it's not a completely different person. He was just good, and he got slightly better. If you put open mic Mark to his first special, that time gap in between, you're going to see a 1,000,000 time different comic because that's just where we're at in the beginning. So it is cool to start getting recognized, start doing shows to that are booked and all that shit, and we're excited. But don't you fuckers worry. We will always be dicking down in the open mics, right, Wayne?
100%. 100%. That's the those are the reps you need to build those comedy muscles.
We'll also have no choice because we're not amazing at it, so we'll have to do open mics.
Yeah, that too. So,
forced to.
So what's going on in your world? Where have you been recently? You did. I think we might have talked about it. You did that show with Ian Stewart a while back.
Yeah,
up
I think
in Old Orchard. Did we talk about that with Aaron? I believe, right?
Slightly, but we didn't release the episode on it because we stopped doing the Mike is a week.
No, I meant the episode with the. We talked about it a little bit with Aaron. We had mentioned that you had gone there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll give you guys a bullet point synopsis then. So Ian Stewart, who is a fantastic comic from Maine, is also a great nurturer for a comic up there. Like, he's always trying to put on shows. He runs New England's Funniest Comedian up there, which is a nice sought after little comedy competition. He runs a paid show that's booked, but again, it's the same kind of level as we're talking about here, where it's not a full paid, you gotta send your tape in book show. You pretty much can get on that show by messaging Ian because it's newer and he's trying to get into it, get people to go to it, that stuff. But still, it's nice to go there, be like 6 other people, comics only, there for this is a comedy show. That's what it's set up to be. And man, there was not 60 people there in a party of 40 who were awesome. There was nobody. Actually, some children. There was 3 kids that came in right before my set. And because the beach is nearby. Again, we did Old Orchard Beach at the GFB. And again, everybody there was awesome. All the comics that did it were cool. But I did my set to silence and shock of children. And yeah, so A, fuck you. 2, great show. Actually, I had a good time with it because it was Still felt good to not be doing an open mic. Like I went there for a purpose. And, it was technically a paid gig, and that was always the goal for there. I mean, I couldn't get paid for that fucking horseshit that I did up there. Oh my God, I did 10 minutes of pure changing children's lives for the worse. But I did it.
So, since then, and in between this, we've been to a few different mics. The most notable one, the Bookin' Bar. We went up there for an open mic.
Yeah, Bookin' Bar was really
2 weeks
cool.
ago. That was a really cool spot. It's like a bookstore with a bar, hence the Bookin' Bar.
Great food, look like.
Yep. Good. The food looked good. Jake Valeri, right? Jake Valeri was the host. Wicked cool dude. Very good host. He went up. Didn't really. I don't know. He had a good flow. He went up, did a little bit of jokes, and then just kept the show going. And
yeah, he was high echelon for me. He was calling back people's bits. He was doing good stuff. He kept the show moving good. Big fan.
Yeah, he was fantastic. That was a nice mix of comics and the general public.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Skews
yeah,
older. I don't know why. Every time we go into New Hampshire, it skews older for us on the days that we do it. Wish that the nursing homes took these fucking people in a lot earlier so that we didn't have to deal with them. Could deal with some young people that understand why I'm coming. Not that it's a distant memory for them and they don't understand it anymore, so they give me a look of shock and don't laugh at me. Comedy's all about relating to somebody. And all I talk about is dicks and cum. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do, Wayne?
Well, that was a fun night. I don't know what to say.
You're like the narrator of a book, which we need, and you're just telling a story, and then I'm just the fucking guy on Adderall, the co-writer next to you, like, and then he fucks the whore, and you're like, all right, but we gotta get to the end of the thing. But I put color on the page.
You do.
I did want to say too. Yeah, well, no, mostly red. Fucking motherfucker.
I was going with cum.
Oh yeah. Well,
is your cum red?
Fluid. Yeah, I mean, yours is it?
No.
Hot lava. No, it's not hot lava. Okay, I did want to say before we get too far too that one thing I did without you that I think is notable, because we did you for a while, and then we did me for a second.
Did me for a long time.
We did you for a long time. You're such a selfish lover.
Mine was two things really, so yours was only one. So let's bring on your second.
This is the second thing, because you were like, "Oh, we went to Bookin' Bar and ate shit." I feel as if I conquered a demon. I had to do it by myself.
Oh yeah?
I don't remember why. Yeah, I conquered a demon on hallowed ground. See that? See where I went there? Look at that. I'm such a creative person.
Yeah, you did that because I had to watch my son, so I couldn't make it down there in time.
Oh, yeah, mundane. That's the world that we live in. But I sucked.
Sure is.
I sucked. I don't want to speak for you, but we sucked at hallowed ground real bad the first time we did it, as far as what we got from it. And it wasn't like, sometimes people are going to swipe the wrong direction on Tinder on you. Just is what it is. And those town of Salem seem to do that to us. They did not swipe left. Right's good, right? Left is bad. I don't know. I'm too fucking married for Tinder. But
I'm old enough for like Christian Mingle, where I had to like pretend not to read so they would believe that I believed in that shit.
Yeah, you had to put a Jesus fish on your car, and
yeah, I don't.
Why did Jesus fish?
There's plenty of Jesus fish and Christian Mingle. I think was what was around when I was single. So
yeah, either way, basically what we're trying to say is that Salem fucking is a bunch of cunts sometimes. And and because of that, we've had a couple bad sets there. So I really wanted to go there and have like, all right, change, mold your set a little bit more to what you think like this demographic is going to look for. Have a good set. Take your material, make it work. Don't just be stubborn in your ways of doing it exactly the same way every time, and because it works in Manchester or the Safe or something. So I went up there, I changed things around a little bit, and it worked. I don't want to say I murdered, but it was a really tough crowd that night. A lot of people did really bad, and I had a normal to reasonable to good set, and so that was really fucking nice.
I gotta say that was out of the 5 sets we've had down there between the two of us in Salem, that was definitely the best one. And props to Kyle Seeley for recording that, because that was fantastic quality.
Yeah, he will record you at very high quality at those mics for a very nominal fee that you'll go, that's it? And he'll send it to you. Some places make you, email or DVDs or blah, 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 blah. He makes it real simple. So let Kyle film you.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Definitely worth the money. I mean, I didn't pay for it, but I saw the video and I was like, really? That's fucking awesome. Good shit.
Yes. So that's my shtick. I was really excited to talk about how that goddamn demon on hallowed ground that's been raping our corpses has finally allowed me to give him one.
I'm really kind of upset. I liked the hallowed ground venue. I'm not going to be able to go there for probably a couple months. My wife started taking a class on Wednesdays and won't be home until 8:30. So by the time I could even get down to Salem would probably be like 9:30, 10, which was not a feasible thing. So maybe in a few months I'll get down there, try it again, or one of the other mics that Allie runs down there. Ginger and I forget the other Reds, I think it was.
Reds, yeah. I think the Reds is periodic, but yeah, I mean, I will try to keep going because remember, Salem, you like me now. Don't not like me next time again. You like me now.
But that's the good thing about those places. Like we talk about, you can't grow if you don't, if you keep doing the same thing. If you keep going to the Safe and everybody's laughing at you, you can't grow. You need to go to these places and where people aren't going to be as generous with their laughs. So, as much as it sucks,
that's life.
Let's keep on to you. It is, yeah. What happened in between? Oh, we did one in between there. We tried. We tried to go to Soho on a Tuesday last week, and unfortunately, we were the only 2 that showed up, be it comic or audience. So it got canceled. Luckily, Ren Garcia. I'm sorry. Not Ren Garcia. Ren Marquez, the host of The Safe.
Shit.
I know. I'm sorry. I messaged him and he was like, yeah, I'll throw you on the list. Come on down. And we were an hour away. So we drove down there and Anthony had a good set. I had a mediocre set because I was trying some new stuff that I wasn't feeling. I wasn't remembering as well as I would like. But I got some good feedback from that. And I've really worked on those jokes. Or at least one of them that I know I want to put into my rotation. So that was a blessing in disguise.
I had a great time there doing that. I'm trying, and we're doing the burn on October 4th. And so I'm just trying to figure out, obviously I'm going to be loose there.
Trying to get that trophy.
Yeah, exactly. We need it because it's the only place that can have it. So we want to get that one. No, but we're going to be loose there because it is what it is. It's not like a high level competition, but it is a really nice community, and Janet, who runs it, is very funny. So it'd be cool to do well there. So I've been trying to figure out, I don't know, what's the sets for this month that are going to help me prepare for that. And I started comedy in the first week or 2. I wrote a bit called Immigrant Parents, where I just talk about having parents that came here directly from another country and how I figured out how different that was than my friends that didn't have that later. So it's a bit about that, and I haven't done it in months. But I just had, you told me, you said you want to hear that bit again. I was like, let me see where it fits on my tight 5 that I've been doing. And I threw it in there. I added some more crowd work stuff to it, elongated my crowd work stuff, economy of words, some shit out of it. And I think the safe was the first time I fully unveiled it in its real form. And it did great there. It did great. And I even got to do the winner circle afterwards, which I don't know if we're going to expand on that more, but
yeah, we can 100%. I was actually going to mention that after. So we were both supposed to do the winner circle, but I took the Tuesday off to do some things with my family during the day, and then I was going to hit the winner circle that night. Unfortunately, I ended up getting sick on Sunday, and if you can probably hear it in my voice, I'm still kind of getting over it. But so I had to back out of that one. But Anthony went, and Anthony, how'd that go? Like, how was your experience there? That's one that we've been looking forward to, and I'm going to live vicariously through you.
Yeah, so it was a cool one because this is what normally happens. Normally, you go to a mic and you see the crowd and you go, "This is gonna be good," or you go, "This is gonna be real bad," and it normally lines up with that. Every time I've done it, we've been able to call how our mics are gonna go. I don't know how many times we've been super surprised about how a mic goes. Normally, I don't know, you can tell me if there's any that really shocked you, but a lot of the time you get it when you're there. This was one where, wow, did I think that it was going to be a shit show for me, because it was a shit show for a lot of the comics going up. There weren't a lot of people there. It filled in a little bit more as it went, but it was a sparse crowd, and they were skewed older again, and it made it difficult for the first 5-6 comics to really land. And then a real cool thing happened, and Steve Bjork, who you saw at Mondo's, right?
Yeah, I got to actually meet Steve Bjork. Wicked fucking nice dude, man. Yeah. I get to watch him work through a new bit that he was working on, and part of our show here is to try to give you some tips. And one of the tips I should give now is go watch comedy. Don't just go to open mics. Go watch comedy. Go watch people like a Steve Bjork work, which is what he did at the Mondo Theater. He went and he got on stage. He goes, "Listen, I'm working on some stuff. Let's do it." And he went and worked through some things, and I feel like I learned a lot. It was awesome watching that, and I'm glad you got to see him as well. So soon after.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I
cool.
actually got to meet him. You got to meet him as well, and fucking nice guy, huh?
Yeah, he was a nice dude. But more than that, because our currency in my robotic mind is funny. I don't care. Like, I love meeting people and all that, but you're not on a pedestal if you're not funny. And he proved himself that night, because what I saw there when I went to Winter Circle was it was really tough going in the beginning. There wasn't many laughs to be had. And then I was going 2 comics after Steve, and he went up and just did great. He was professional. He got those sparse people that were there all engaged and going. They moved closer. They were really laughing hard. He was really funny. His stuff was clean and it killed. And it made it. It's got it. I had a great set that night, for what it was. And I do give him a lot of credit for why I had a good set, because I think if I went before him during the, when they weren't taking shit jokes from anybody, I might not have won as well. But to have somebody do so good before you, warming up the crowd like that, it was cool to see that. It was just cool to perform with somebody that's done so much shit like he has. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because Jacques, who was a guest last week or a couple of weeks ago, from when this comes out, on his podcast, he had Steve Bjork on there, but in a separate episode, he had mentioned where he went to a show where the first few comics didn't do so hot, and they didn't really have the crowd on their side, and then Steve went up and just completely turned that around, just like what happened at your show. So he obviously has that touch, not just the funny touch, but the charm and the enthusiasm. Like, let's get this back on track.
That was a huge part of it, because he was trying bits in the beginning, and it wasn't the bits itself that won the people over. It was his banter in between the bits, cause like as he was trying to figure them out, he was looking around like, I think you'll like this one, and it just, it was a master at his trade technically. He's been doing it for so long. he has his tool belt full of tools and knows how to use them. Where we're over there, like I got my hammer and my screwdriver, and if you guys don't like those two, I don't know how to fucking work on this. So again, that's why I do this, is to see people that are good like that, so I can learn off them and go. If you do a bunch of open mics and everybody there eats shit, it's really hard to learn from it. You don't want to be the best guy at an open mic every fucking week, because you're not going to learn anything. You want to go there and see somebody go, here's how it's done, you fucking young pieces of shit. And Steve did that. It was cool. And he's a nice guy. So that too. Look at that. Double cool.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you got to experience that. It was really cool.
Well, no more dicks in our mouths for the rest of the episode. Fuck the rest of the comics out there. Vitriol, vitriol, vitriol. I think we're coming to the end of this episode. Wayne, what else we got to talk about before we wrap her up?
Yeah, I think should we talk a little bit about, I guess, the near future of the show, like what we're doing behind the scenes right now and what they can expect. We started off saying that we're not going to do the mics of the week anymore, so we're going to try to do these mic talks periodically to kind of catch you up on where we've been. I think we want to do a lot more review specials as they come out. But one thing we've been really focusing on are guests. We see the reaction to the guest episodes, and we can tell that people really like that. So we've been really setting up some comics that we meet and that we really like, and we have a shit ton of backlog that we're trying to get through. We have people from other countries that we're working on trying to get on. People from across the country, our country, that we're trying to get on. And I don't want to say most importantly, but very importantly, because we are based out of New England, but we're trying to get a lot of the New England comics on that we interact with on a weekly basis. And I think that's something that you'll see a lot more of coming up.
We're still doing the topic episodes where we're gonna talk about a specific element in the mic scene that maybe we're gonna give you tips. Maybe I'm gonna talk about the pie guy who touched me. All of those things. I think I'm supposed to say apparently touched me legally. But anyway, we're going to talk about all those things for you motherfuckers, okay? So I'm going to put the mic now at an angle where you can't see my face. And Wayne, what else are we going to talk about?
I think that brings us right up to current day. I don't know what we're doing next week in terms of mics and stuff. But, yeah, I think that brings us up to current day. I don't really have anything more to say other than one thing we never say, we should, or we say it occasionally, but don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that shit too. That really helps us. Lets us know what you like, what you don't like. So if you're listening and you're like, oh shit, I didn't like this yet, tickle that little button. Let us know you like it.
Yeah. And hail Satan. Everybody, this has been a wonderful and lovely step as we stroll through the quest for laughs. Bye, everybody.
Person up the next person, 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 all the way to the end where Mike went up and did probably about 10 minutes